But to begin to understand the oscillation in articulation, we have to understand what oscillation is. Oscillation is what the ger does. We do it naturally. We can't not do it. We can't, it can't, and that is because the ger is this identified as this very unique thing called Noga. Noga is translated as glow. We have to think of the candle in order to kind of understand this. The Noga is not the light. The Jews are to be a light unto the nation. Okay? The ger is not the light. It is the glow is separate from the light, but it is attached to the light. If you put a candle in this room and turned off all the lights, you would see a flame, and you would see the glow of that flame light up maybe this table and that table, but one candle probably wouldn't make it all the way to the wall. The wall would still be dark. The wall, that area between the edge of that glow of that candle to that wall, that darkness is klippa. Which klippa is the shell, the concretized light that is associated with sin, with darkness, with death, with non-life. There's no light there. The way we look at it, we'd understand it, is the shell of a nut. On the outside is, the hard, unedible part of that nut is the klippa, is the shell, which klippa translated literally is shell. You discard it and you break it, you tear it down, and to get to the inside, to the meat of the nut. That would be like holiness. That's the goodness. That's the life. That's nourishment. That's substantial part of the nut. That would be associated with the flame. That would associated be with holiness. But it's not klippa, and it's not the glow. The glow is in between there, and there's a space between the candle and the edge of that glow. That is called the Noga. And the ger in Habakkuk is, I think, what is it?
3:4.
3:4. Thank you. Habakkuk 3:4 says the Noga is like the light. The ger is like the Jew. We're not the Jew. We're like the Jew. And we're separated from it. But we can do this very unique thing called oscillation. We can go sit in a synagogue and worship and associate and be accepted in many cases with the Jewish people right next to the flame. But then we can also go out into the world, go into Uncle Mac's backyard where they're all sitting there drinking a beer, and we can go there as well. We can oscillate back and forth. We can go sit and talk to our Christian grandmother. We can go back and forth. We can study Torah. back and forth. This space, this area of Noga is what we travel in and we operate in every day of our life. And that is the unique set of position that we've brought ourselves into and that we found ourselves in.
So, from what you're saying, question is the Noga saying that the Ger, the righteous Gentile, is the Noga, but it's, and then outside of the Noga, you have darkness, which is the Klippa, the shells, and on the inner side, you have the light, the fruit, give the life part of it, Hashem, holiness, the Torah, the Jewish people. So it's almost from if I'm understanding you correctly about the way you're explaining this, is that we're the barrier, we're the protection between the two, but we can oscillate back and forth between them. Is that correct?
Yeah, we can touch both sides. We can touch the klippa, the glow of the candle can touch the flame and touch the darkness. It can touch holiness, and it can touch the sin or the klippa. It encompasses that space, and that is the uniqueness of this righteous Gentile that we identify as the Ger, the stranger who lives among the Jewish people. They can touch both sides, some things and places that a Jew shouldn't have to go or shouldn't have to do, because they have to guard their holiness and their sanctity, and they don't, they shouldn't have to engage in particular things in order to preserve that holiness in the state that they're in. And this is what the Ger does. The Ger can transcend those two elements and oscillate back and forth and touch both sides. And so the idea is for the Jew to create more Ger where the glow is bigger, and extract more holiness from the darkness, from the klippa, and expound the space and draw that shefa that is trapped in that darkness into this glow, into this light, and increasing this whole existence, this physical existence, with a greater level of holiness because of this expanded space, that they can draw more of the shefa in and create a world and create a space that is more welcoming to Hashem and to Mashiach or whatever, is to have this, to create this world or this space with holiness and with goodness and with kindness and with mercy, and to do all of this stuff and expand that light. And by creating Ger, letting those attributes create Ger into the world, creates that space.
Well, what
that should be.
What's interesting by what you're talking about, it's got my mind thinking that, there's a lot of people that, we get asked questions, or you probably have it more than I do, but they'll say, well, what is my purpose as a Gentile, studying Torah? I'm trying to be a righteous Gentile, but I'm pressured to convert, or I'm pressured to use this name to consider myself a Noahide or a Ger Toshav, all these different terminologies. But from what you're saying, that's why it's very important for you to identify yourself correctly of what you are. Because if you don't do that, then you don't understand your purpose. And from what I'm understanding, what you're saying with this teaching is that first you need to understand your Ger Toshav. You are the Noga. You are the barrier between two worlds. You're a protection for the Jewish people, that barrier that allows them, without having to try to go into the secular world and deal with business or other things that might be going on. We can be that barrier. That could be our purpose in Torah, is to serve the light out into the world, but to be that barrier for the outside the secular world to the Jewish community. Is that correct?
Well, I think a lot of it works that way. And look, a name does not um, create this or not create it, but the name helps to identify the consciousness and the understanding of it. So that's why we kind of have this opposition to where well, I'm a Noahide, well, I'm a Ger, well, I'm this, well, I'm that, and a lot of people say, well, names don't matter. Well, you know what? Maybe the name doesn't matter, but the consciousness and the purpose of that identity does matter.
Right. Right. That's what I'm talking about. Because if you don't know what you are, or you can't identify to what you are or to what you believe, then it's hard to understand the purpose that you serve.
Absolutely.
You know.